This week's featured artist on the Cage Nation TV mixtape is State College PA metal band It Is Written and their searing track War for Years. With their thundering rhythms, angry riffs, and a freight train bass, It Is Written is taking their brand of metal on the road. Check out It Is Written online at iiwmetal.com, on Facebook and YouTube. There is no better way to enjoy It Is Written than by throwing back some cold cock American herbal flavored whiskey, the official sponsor of It Is Written. Please drink responsibly.
Let's go!
You're listening to the Cage Nation TV Prizefight podcast. Coming to you from the Candid Cameron Studios in State College, Pennsylvania. Here's your host, Albert Cameron.
That is It Is Written with their track War for Years. You can hear the full track at the end of this episode. A big thanks to It Is Written for allowing their songs to be on the Prizefight podcast. I'm your host, Albert Cameron, and it's Friday. And we all know what Friday means. Friday means it is podcast day. That also means it is the Friday 5 over at CageNationTV.com. This week's Friday 5 of the worst spectacles in modern mixed martial arts. I had to dig deep for this one, but I'm kind of proud of the way it come out. On this week's Prizefight podcast, we got Benson Henderson. We got to talk about, is co-promotion the future of North American mixed martial arts? California bans dehydration weight cutting, and what does that mean for you guys? Donald the Cowboy Cerrone, his opponent dropped out. He's got a new one. We're going to talk all about that. But first, let's get into some things I'm pretty excited about. It's about time that Bellator MMA finally either started listening to me or had someone in their ear that's telling them, hey guys, this is the way to go. They signed former UFC and former WEC champion Benson Henderson, and he's getting an immediate title shot at welterweight for Bellator MMA. Benson Henderson, not the only acquisition. Sergey Karnatarov also signing to Bellator. So now, we have a big problem in hand with Bellator. Bellator being on Spike TV, one of their big draws is, it's free fights every Friday. But with Comcast's recent restructuring of the pricing tiers, Spike TV is no longer on one of the more basic tiers of cable. Not on the more basic tiers of cable, so you have the impulse watchers, the folks who are flicking through. Now that viewership is really dramatically dropped because, well, it's Comcast. If you've ever had to deal with Comcast, it's Comcast. Not much you can do about Comcast. So Benson Henderson signed. Sergey Karnatarov. Scott Coker himself said, hey, watch out, guys. This is not the end of it. More big names are on the way. Benson Henderson himself said, I'm getting phone calls, I'm getting texts from guys all the time saying, hey, how'd you do it? How'd you break through? How did you break free? How did you get over to Bellator? I want to follow you. And I think it all comes down to one thing. Fighters are poised to make money outside of the Reebok deal. And we've been talking about it for months on Cage Nation TV that the Reebok deal is not good. It is not a good thing. Fighters are going to start getting hurt, and the people who get hurt the most are the sponsors who are putting their funds out there to support guys. You know, these guys they're trying to take time out to train, and when they're taking time to train, that's time that they cannot work to make income. So you have these sponsors stepping in and said, hey guys, I believe in you. And the Reebok deal is really, really kind of holding people back from that. So Henderson, Karnatarov, what else could be coming down the pipe? Well, it has to be something big, because with Spike TV's viewership, the impulse viewers, the people who are flicking through, with that viewership now gone, Bellator needs to make destination fights. And I think starting with Benson Henderson, that was a good thing, because people will buy a pay-per-view for Benson Henderson. They've done it. The UFC's already proved it. Benson Henderson became a free agent while he's still on top, and that works out well for him. It also works out very, very well for Bellator. Sergey Karnatarov, big name over in Europe. He's coming over too, so now we have destination fights. If we get all these guys who are coming over, it really seems like the Reebok deal is going to be the great equalizer, but possibly not in the UFC's favor, because now guys are standing to make money outside of the Reebok deal. One of the bigger names who was coming to Bellator, bigger in way of amateur wrestling, is of course Ed Ruth. Ed Ruth from here in State College, Pennsylvania, a phenomenal wrestler, just seems to have better body mechanics than everybody, elected to sign with Bellator instead of the UFC because of the money. Cha-ching! He's going to be making bank in Bellator. Well, let's not say he's going to be making bank, but he has more income earning potential in Bellator than he does at the UFC, especially provided he hasn't had any fights yet. He's training. I'm told he's training, but that doesn't instantly mean he's going to be making money. So it looks like Bellator is going to be turning things around. You guys have all heard my conspiracy theory about, I'm pretty sure the World Series of Fighting is getting bought out by Zuffa anytime now, but no wait to that yet. So good for Bellator. I'm going to be looking for Bellator to start getting on some pay-per-views. They're going to start making destination fights. Skippy Cohen of MMA Madhouse. Now, I need to preface that I think Skippy Cohen is a great guy. I think he has done a lot for regional sports, and I think his series of programming is absolutely phenomenal. And I think if it weren't for Skippy Cohen, a lot of the guys who are doing the Prizefight podcast or Cage Nation TV or the other guys we wouldn't have a template to go by. So Skippy earns a lot of respect from this guy. He he said that he believes that American co-promotion is the future, the only way that North American MMA can survive. And I'm not sure if I'm paraphrasing it or not, but I disagree with the man, and I'll tell you why. If you start getting promoters together, you start getting guys who are obvious. It's obvious this guy needs a fight. It's obvious that this guy's the moneymaker, and then promotions could start nitpicking over, well, I want this fight. It's my promotion. I brought him to the game, or, well, we can pay him more. It just could get really, really ugly. M1 Global has tried several times to come over to the United States to try to co-promote with Strikeforce, with Bellator. World Series of Fighting has done some co-promotion, and all of those promotions haven't done well. World Series of Fighting is in a real vulnerable spot. Strikeforce, of course, enveloped by the UFC. Elite XC did some co-promotion. They were enveloped by Strikeforce. Bellator is really in a spot to be doing well. The Risen Fighting Federation is still too young to be proven. Now, of course, Skippy has a much different perspective than I do. I hope he proves me wrong, but from where I'm sitting, I don't quite see it. Donald the Cowboy Cerrone recently rolled his truck, and I saw the mayhem. I saw the carnage. I mean, he rolled it good. It's a wonder he escaped without any serious injury, but he's already back in training. Donald the Cowboy Cerrone, of course, is going to be the headliner at Ultimate Fight Night 82, which will be taking place at the Consol Energy Center in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's still training. He's still ready for a fight. Now, Tim Means was his scheduled opponent for UFC Fight Night 82, and Tim Means has withdrawn from the fight with allegations hanging overhead that he might be testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs, which is not good. It happens sometimes, and you got guys who don't mean for this kind of thing to happen, but it happens. But someone put it in perspective for me that this is twice that a Pittsburgh main event has been altered or has been changed or had to be renegotiated because of performance-enhancing drugs, and that's not good. Now, Cerrone does have another opponent lined up, Alex the Cowboy Oliveira, so we got a Wild West shootout going down in the Steel City, Cowboy versus Cowboy, Cerrone taking on Alex the Cowboy Oliveira. So the Pittsburgh card is still looking good. Cerrone's still in the main event. Cody No Love Garbrandt is returning to Steel City on the big stage, and we couldn't be happier for him. Now, one of the biggest things that's come up for me in MMA news recently is that California has banned dehydration weight cuts, which, yeah, I get it. That's dangerous. There's a big difference between weight cuts and weight loss. Weight loss is the calculated strategy of losing body mass, targeting body fat. Weight cuts is a dramatic effort to get weight off of you in a short amount of time. And anyone who's been on any sort of restrictive diet plan knows that body fat does not come off fast, but water does. And with dehydration weight cuts, you're walking around. I'll use Johnny Hendricks as an example. Johnny Hendricks walks around between 220 and 210, and he cuts down to welterweight, which has a weight limit of 170. Johnny Hendricks has had to drop out of fights before because his weight cut was so drastic, and it was taking such a toll on him. California says, no more of that bullshit. It's gone. We're not doing it anymore. Nope, no way. So now, California has been pretty progressive in the world of MMA. Could they influence other state athletic commissions? And I'm thinking absolutely. I think it's only a matter of time before Nevada gets on board. When Nevada gets on board, New Jersey gets on board. When New Jersey gets on board, Pennsylvania gets on board. And what does that mean for us all? Well, you think about why you cut weight drastically like that. For Johnny Hendricks, he's well in walking around weight to fight at light heavyweight. When he cuts to welterweight, he's a much more physically imposing opponent for championship material, for championship caliber. That's why guys fight. The first time I ever experienced or was introduced to something of a weight cut, I was wrestling in junior high. Now, I only wrestled for 1 year, but it was a good experience. I'm glad I did it. I experienced weight cutting because there was a guy on the team, or was an opposing team, who was trying to cut a bunch of weight fast because he wanted to get certified at the lower weight, because he felt like he could beat the guy at the lower weight, because if he cut the weight, he'd have a chance to rehydrate. He was going to be bigger, possibly get that easy win. I'm not saying that guys cut weight in MMA to be an easy win, but the theory is all the same. You cut weight to become a much more physically imposing opponent. And California is doing away with that. High five, California. I'm with you. I don't care if your state's in bankruptcy. You're doing right by the fighter. So what this could mean is, if all the states adopt the no dehydration weight cutting policy, we could see a complete paradigm shift in titles, in contenders, in championships. We could be seeing Johnny Hendricks fight at light heavyweight. We could see John Jones going to heavyweight. We could see Diego Sanchez coming back up to middleweight. All those things are possible. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my time. I'm your host, Albert Cameron. Taking our show out tonight is It Is Written from State College, Pennsylvania. They are going on tour. They're being sponsored by Cold Cutlet Whiskey. This track is called War for Years. Thanks for listening to the Prizefight Podcast.
Face to face they will remain. With all the you say my name? No! For them, nothing was in place. Switch back, rewind. For them, nothing. Never wrong the same page. We ride, fighting on and through the night. The flesh will burn in the morning sky. The whole city flames, coming and coming and coming again. Face to face they will remain, with love and memories. The bleeding inside, leaving behind everyone who betrayed. 4 years I've count the hours, all in good time, slowly tearing all these idols down. Suffocating slow is wasted, while the corpses are shifting like sand. Can you feel the approach? Like the quiet before the explode. Can you say my name? No! For them, nothing was in place. Switch back, rewind. For them, nothing. Never wrong the same page. For them, nothing was in place. Switch back, rewind. Never wrong the same page.
Thank you for tuning in to the Cage Nation Prizefight Podcast. All rights reserved, 2015-2016 Planetary Sports. The Prizefight Podcast is part of the Cage Nation Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.cagenationtv.com.